Sure they don't worry.
Dude, that fucking game, bro. Fucking
It's a point where
game.
it's gets to a point where it's not even surprising anymore the way they've been doing it all season, the way they've been doing it throughout history. Like it's their trophy. Everyone always says it's whoever wins the Champions League, yeah, best team in Europe that year. But Real Madrid 14 times, the first five in a row in the 50s. It's the pedigree. They're just known as those guys.
I mean, so my question for this one is like, how much of this was Real Madrid and how much of this was the curse of Harry Kane? Like, how much of this was Harry Kane just the dude could not win a trophy? He
I
can't.
mean, it's incredible. Look at the fact that it's his best scoring season, 44 goals in all competitions, been on fire, knocked my team out at the group stage, United,
Yeah.
with minimum fuss. But yeah, it's just to be fair, they said Harry Kane curse. One thing I'll say, I don't think he's the absolute best number nine. We have our own gripes as England fans, bottle it in the big games, World Cup against France, second penalty, he skied it. So I have my own thoughts on him. But Bayern did just about win the title last year as well. Like they didn't sweep away with it. Dortmund took it to the final day, and
That's true.
Bayern more than Bayern losing it, it was more than Bayern winning it. It was more Dortmund losing it,
I think it was
and that
wasn't it? Sorry, dude, this is like the most ghetto fucking operation in the world. Like, I literally,
right.
I'm using like a book to hold up a phone as a light because I'm in this
I could,
Airbnb in Rio, and like it looks like I'm in a fucking prison, doesn't it?
I wasn't going to
Like,
say, but it's interesting. Yeah, I've seen the other videos as well. The light, you hold the phone up with the light, and then
it just falls. Yeah,
yeah,
no,
no,
I mean like, yeah, no, like there's definitely like a question is Bayern just like kind of losing their touch? But they always seem to win. They always seem to win stuff. I just like look. So one reason why I love sports is like there's I feel like the human nature is naturally suspicious, naturally
yeah,
superstitious, naturally conspiratorial. And the nice thing about sports is that like that's my outlet for this stuff. And so I don't
yeah.
believe in curses, except in sports. Harry Kane couldn't win a single Premier League trophy. Bayern, he goes to Bayern, and like this is like Leverkusen turns into 2008 Barcelona. you know?
11 years of dominance. You wouldn't think Bayern weren't going to win. I mean, 11 years of dominance in anything is ridiculous, but to win the league title for Bayern, 11 years in a row.
yeah,
But with that comes, I guess you can say, especially in the Champions League, when you're so look at PSG, when you're so dominant in your own domestic league, that step up in competition, even if it's a smaller team, let's say on paper, when
yeah.
your players are used to running 100 miles, I don't need to necessarily run 100 miles an hour every league game, every Saturday, every midweek. Then that difference in intensity does show in the later stages when you come to
I
March,
actually
April,
do think
May.
there's something to that because, like, especially because if you think about how Italy just overperforms, because Italy, like, as a league, is like, I know Italian fans get very upset about this, but like, it's not Italy of today is not Italy of the '80s. You know what I mean? It just isn't
90s,
Italy.
especially Syria in the 90s was the best league in the world before it was
100%.
the
I mean, like if you think about it, Maradona is considered, one of the two greatest players of all time, and he never won a Champions League. you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like he
It's
won
funny that
Serie A twice, and people are like, okay, well that's enough. You know what I mean? But like right now, Serie A is like definitely like a tier two league, but they have such even competition that when it comes to the Champions League, everyone's firing on all cylinders. But I think you're completely right. Like in Germany, like it's just such a lopsided league that when Bayern goes into the major competitions, they have all this talent, just like PSG, and they just completely whiff on it year after year. I mean, last year was embarrassing too. Like,
oh no, definitely. I mean, as a United fan, obviously back in the great days of Ferguson, we were so dominant in the league, winning 2-3 on the bounce like nothing.
yeah,
Champions League, just underperformed. We've only ever won two under Ferguson, three in total. A club of United stature, we should be up there in the Bayerns and the Madrids and all that. Winning five, six, seven. Well, obviously, Real way up in front with 14.
yeah,
But there is something to that. And I was thinking, so if you compare today's game to yesterday's game, you're looking at the two favorites, Real Madrid and PSG for the final.
yeah.
Gigi Buffon, when he was at PSG, he went for a season, again, aimed to winning the Champions League a couple of years ago, I think 2017, 2018, around that time. He went there and he came back a year and goes, I know exactly why these guys don't win it. And it was a big shock. It kind of goes under the radar. It's like, oh, what's the bit? Is it training? Is it tactics? Is it the manager? He goes, no, it's simply the fact that it's Paris and these guys the city's just too many distractions. It's a celebrity culture.
I
The
have to
players just
say, That's why I am very bearish on Mbappe. Like people call me an Mbappe hater. I don't hate the guy. I just think, first of all, like I think the big problem with Mbappe. By the way, when it comes to like play on the pitch, he's perfect. Like I'm not even critiquing his play on the pitch, but like this is a guy who was raised by Neymar, and Neymar is the absolute worst person that you want as like a father figure for a player, right? And like Mbappe, just like you hear all these stories where just like PSG just you see it on the pitch, they just don't care. They just don't care. And my big fear with Mbappe is like, okay, he goes to Real Madrid. Does Real Madrid change him, or does he become a locker room
Yes,
cancer in Real Madrid?
there is no player bigger than any locker room, and especially no bigger than the Real Madrid locker room. Players have to abide by the system. Now, it
Yeah,
depends on the player position as well. When you obviously during the Galactico eras, they all managed to try and fit them in, and it didn't work. This is the early 2000s. They
yeah,
kind of did Galactico 2.0 when they signed Kaká, Ronaldo, Benzema in the same transfer window. Literally, it was
yeah.
insane.
But,
That
but,
took a
but I
couple
mean,
of years to
the
work
big
itself.
problem was that they had David Beckham playing defensive midfielder, which makes no sense.
Figo, because
But
Figo was out there. You had two of the best players in the exact same position. You're going to take Figo
exactly,
out? That's impossible.
yeah,
Where do you have to play Beckham because he's the guy selling your shirts and he's part of a great midfield at United.
yeah,
I think the thing going back to a PSG and Real Madrid is if you look at again both games, you'd see celebrities in the crowd at both. There was plenty of celebrities at the Madrid game. Madrid is a celebrity club as well, but it's built on football foundation and traditions, whereas
yeah,
PSG is kind of just it was a very sort of not derelict club, but it wasn't a very popular club for players to go to. You couldn't take your families to the stadium. Thierry Henry kind of touched on this in the commentary yesterday at CBS. Thierry Henry said himself, it was PSG is not a place you could bring your family, your kids for a game. It was quite rough. Their ultras are pretty intense. When obviously the money's come in now from the Qataris, they've obviously revamped it. Listen, you can. This might sound harsh. You can put a dress on a donkey. It's
yeah.
still a donkey. So
Do
if
you
you're
know?
celebrity, sorry,
Do you know which French team has the most Champions League wins?
I believe it's Marseille.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like, Marseille
Yeah.
is just such an afterthought now, but they have like PSG is zero. Like,
Oh, Marseille, 1993. They're the only French club to win the Champions League, and that was a great team. They had obviously Desailly, some great youngsters coming up there. Deschamps was the captain, but
yeah,
like you said, 1993 was the inception of the Champions League when it was reformatted. So ever
yeah,
since the very first one, yeah, PSG have been in a final 2020 against Bayern Munich, of course, which could have been a potential final this year as well. But when you look at the PSG structure versus the Real Madrid, Madrid are always those guys. They're just that club. They have got an unbelievable manager in Carlo Ancelotti. He's got these players well drilled. And what's scary is they used to have the Galactico, obviously, methodology in the transfer market, which was great for kids watching. Oh, transfer windows would be insane. They're signing it's like playing football manager. What's scary now is they're completely 180. Now they're picking up all the best young talent, all the young midfielders, the young defenders, goalkeepers set for another. When Courtois comes back, he'll be phenomenal. Lunin, I didn't know much about Lunin before this season. He's come in and had a brilliant campaign for him. When they'll get Mbappe, it just gets scary. There's talks of Haaland going in 2 years' time. It's insane. Like, what are they going to do with all these
yeah.
players?
I
So
honestly,
they're
I think Mbappe is gonna have to leave. I think what's gonna happen with Mbappe is he's gonna go to PS. He's gonna go to Real Madrid. He's gonna play for 2 years, and then he's gonna get kicked out of there
I
because
think he leaves a lot. Yeah,
because
go on.
like Real Madrid. I mean, so. But one thing I want to brag about. I predicted Real Madrid Dortmund in the final.
Oh, really?
Quarterfinal
Okay.
draw. People watch this. I hope you can check the tape. Check the tape. I predicted it, but Dortmund has been a great story, but they're not winning the finals. It's not happening. We know that Real Madrid is going to win, and that's going to be 2 wins in 3 years, right? So you have Mbappe coming in. He's now the highest paid player on a team that's won 2 Champions Leagues in 3 years, and he's going to try to get the club to like cater to him, and they're just going to be like, sorry, Mbappe, like we literally do not need you. We literally won a Champions League 4 months ago. Like,
What
and I
what's
think it's gonna
crazy?
cause a lot of tension. I think he's gonna get kicked out.
So that happened obviously with United going back to when we signed Alexis Sanchez, who I actually really wanted at the club at the time. The
Yeah,
wage structure was broken, and he was a shell of himself. He wasn't the same Arsenal Sanchez from previous seasons. With Mbappe, what's crazy is first of all, he's actually taking a pay cut. He'll still be the best paid player there, but he's taking actually a really significant pay cut from his PSG contract. So that's nuts in
yeah,
itself. Two is we saw yesterday when PSG tried to play him down the middle, he's not as effective. He's still an unbelievable player, but he on the left, he's unplayable.
yeah,
Vinny Jr. all season. Now, this performance, he had Kimmich on skates the whole game. It's crazy. He just kept doing one-on-one. It was like watching two boxers and the one's realized he's hurting the other one and just keeps going out at the same 1-2 combo. It was hard to watch. Kimmich is a great player. What do you do with Mbappe and Vinny Jr.? How do you make that work? Is it going to be square hole round pegs again? Are you going to do the whole Beckham Figo experiment, try to play one somewhere else? Are you going to get the most out of him? So I kind of agree. I think depending on how Vinny Jr. does, because the owners, Florentino Perez loves him and Rodrigo. They're the Rodrigo especially seems to be, I would think from the outside, the main casualty of Mbappe, and eventually if Haaland comes as well. I reckon Mbappe does a couple years and, like you said, moves on to another maybe lucrative contract. Maybe we'll see him in the Premier League, hopefully not at Liverpool or City or, Chelsea or Arsenal, hopefully at United, depending on how it goes.
I think that Rodrigo is going to be the one to fall of all of them, just because like Rodrigo is kind of like, I hate to say this, but like he's basically just like a poor man's version of Vinny. He's like 85% of Vinny Jr. You know what I mean? Like he does everything that Vinny does. Just and I like, by the way, I love Vinny. I actually, one of my long takes for the past 3 years that I'm really happy because I think I'm being vindicated on is I think Vinny's better than Mbappe. Like I would rather have Vinny on my team than Mbappe on my squad. So when I'm saying that Rodrigo's a poor man's Vinny, I'm not insulting him. I'm just saying like he does what Vinny does, just a little bit worse. And so I think that what it's going to be is that you have Vinny, Bellingham, and Mbappe in the front, and then like you have Rodrigo and Endrick riding the bench, which is
another one.
This is going to be like you have Endrick and Rodrigo on the bench. I think you have a lot of tension, and like as we know, Carlo Ancelotti's main focus is team cohesion, and I think he's going to look at the squad and just be like, something's not right here. One of you guys are leaving, and I think it's Mbappe.
He's not afraid to make big decisions. I remember everyone's raving at Martin Odegaard now. Arsenal, unbelievable signing, great captain, great leader, the heir to Kevin De Bruyne in the Premier League. When De Bruyne hangs up his boots, Ancelotti was the one. Odegaard was signed similar to Endrick and was like, "Oh, we're going to force him in, this and that." Carlo Ancelotti said it in a press conference in no way in bad terms to Odegaard. He said, "Look, this guy's kind of just been forced on me by the owner. Like, I don't have a place for him." He sent him on a few bones, and the rest is history. He's making his bones in the league now with Arsenal. Carlo Ancelotti is there for another year, and then he's going to go manage the Brazil national team, if the reports are all accurate and things like that. So I think Mbappe coming this year, they might get the cohesion right. That first year, you get a little bit of slack as well. Your first year at Madrid, the fans are very unforgiving. They booed Cristiano Ronaldo not so long ago when he was so obviously they've been spoiled with some unbelievable times and players. But I'm very interested. I think Mbappe leaves after 2 years. Haaland at this Real Madrid team would be very scary. The style of play, a big fucking presence up top.
He doesn't really. As you said, if Vinny had Kimmich on skates, like Vinny had, like
Joshua Kimmich
crosses into the box just from going right. And this was against Bayern Munich, which like, look, I know Kimmich is a defensive mid. He's not like a right back, but he's still a very good defensive presence. And you
don't see people do that. You don't see people do that to him, and he just kept going for. He knew he had him at the beginning of that second half, from like the 45th to about the 57th minute. He was just running directly at him. De Ligt tried to come and double up on him. He had them both on skates, which was scary.
Yeah. Although the problem with De Ligt is that he's very slow. Like I love De Ligt, but like he is not. But for example, like if you put De Ligt on like Liverpool, he would be terrible because he has to run
the high line. The high line is scary. Yeah, the high line would be scary there for him. I mean, speaking of De Ligt, he did score that last minute goal, which on looking back, I thought Mazraoui was onside. I thought it was a very quick flag. The conspiracy theories come out here, the refs are on Madrid's payroll, this and that. But over the 2 legs, I think Madrid deserved it. I'm happy to see him. It's at Wembley. I'm trying to see if I can get a ticket. Probably very impossible, very difficult to try and get a ticket to that.
See, but, I actually wanted the game to be over because as I said, I'm seeing this Brazilian girl in like an hour, so like I needed the schedule to work. So after Real Madrid went up, I was like, all right, let's finish this. Let's get done.
Time for extra time, penalties. But yeah, no, it'll be very interesting. I think personally, obviously Madrid. I reckon Madrid. What's your take on it? I think Madrid wins around 3-1 or something like that against Dortmund. They might get a goal, Dortmund, but this Madrid, Toni Kroos is just. I know there are talks about. I know Modric is leaving end of the year, and they're saying Toni Kroos might follow him out the door. But why not give him another year or two? When you have this caliber of midfielder, you have the young guys like Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Valverde's unbelievable. These guys coming up. Why not have him in the dressing room? Why not have the extra?
The problem with Kroos is that he is their highest paid player. So like you are paying him a lot of money just to sit on the bench. But I completely agree. By the way, I saw a video where it was Toni Kroos kicking, like he was on a basketball court, and he basically did a cross the entire basketball court, and the ball went into the hoop. I was like, that is insane. Like, yeah, no, I love Tony Cruz. I think they should keep him, but I think that he's gonna be done at the end of the year. I mean, Carlo Ancelotti also, like, I know people are saying that he's going to Brazil after next year, but people also said he was going to Brazil after this year. People also said he's
Yeah,
going
he
to
might.
Brazil
I
after
mean,
last year. So
why not stay? Why not stay if you keep winning? I completely
yeah,
understand.
exactly.
I personally, as a neutral, I prefer club football over international, but I would love to see Ancelotti's blueprint on a Brazil team, especially with the talent they have coming. I think it
Yeah.
could be very special. He's
I
earned the right. Like, if he wins a World Cup, that's it. He is the GOAT manager at this point. What, 4, potentially 5 Champions Leagues? No one's ever done that before.
yeah.
Great player in his heyday, managed multiple different clubs. And if he goes and wins a World Cup for Brazil after 20 odd years of underachievement, I mean, it's very hard to argue.
What are your thoughts on Pep?
Unbelievable coach. I mean, do I always agree with his style and the way he does things? He came to English football. We laughed him out of the building the first season. 2017, he finished fourth, I believe. And, he took a big hammering from Everton, I believe, 4-0, one of the last few games of the season. So you're thinking
Yeah.
Pep football won't work. The thing with Pep, and especially now Jurgen, I can give him his credit now that we're going to see the back of him at Liverpool as a United fan. Jurgen Klopp, for me, is the best manager. The way this guy, improves players, can work on a budget, and the connection between the fans and the club, and just the way he ties it all together. He's one of one. He's a
Yeah.
different breed. They don't make managers like that anymore. It's a
So
dying breed.
as a Liverpool fan, I obviously love Jurgen Klopp, right? Like, I'm very sad to see him go. I will say there are two things that really frustrate me about Klopp that hopefully the new guy doesn't do. Is so the
Oh,
first thing that pissed me off about, I mean, basically, like, is just stubbornness. Where once Jurgen Klopp decides something, he will never ever change his mind. For example, he decided that Trent Alexander-Arnold is a right back and not a defensive midfielder, and he's stuck by it. That's the reason why we lost the Champions League final to Real Madrid, was because you had Trent Alexander-Arnold guarding Vinny, and it's like, that is the stupidest idea on planet Earth, and it blew up in our face. And two, he also, similar thing about him being stubborn, he'll just run players into the ground. So, like, last year we missed the Champions League, and people were like, "Oh, it's because of injuries." It's like, it's not because of injuries. It's because the year before he had Virgil van Dijk playing 95 minutes a game twice a week for 6 months. Like, and so I'm not trying to shit on Klopp. I obviously, like, I love Klopp. Like, he turned the team around. He accomplished everything he needed to accomplish with the club. We were 2 goals away from winning a
triple.
quadruple last year or 2 years ago. So, like, there's nothing to critique except for those two things.
I think with last season, especially, maybe not the injuries, but I personally haven't seen my team lose Champions League finals to Barcelona in the space of a couple of years. There was definitely a hangover the next season when you lose a Champions League final. Trust me, I know you guys went and won the 2019 after losing to Madrid, so there are obviously exceptions to the rule, but
Yeah,
I always feel this big hangover. As fans, as a club, you get to a Champions League final, it's not easy, let alone winning it. Just getting to the final can be a real nightmare.
yeah,
So getting to a final and then losing it, it's huge hangover. And then I can't imagine the potential quadruple, like you said, 15 minutes away in the league, City 2-0 down, and then lose Champions League the way you lot did as well. Because let's be honest, even as a United fan, you guys were all over him. That's why, for me, the reason Real Madrid worked so well, especially under Ancelotti, the positional play of knowing where the players need to be. They had no outlet. They couldn't kick the ball anywhere. They had one outlet, which was Courtois to Danny Carvajal into the midfield, into Toni Kroos and Modric. Danny Carvajal is one of the most underrated players in the history of football.
I love it.
History of football. Hot
Yeah,
take, people, this guy, he's always an outlet. Even today, when Bayern, or even against City in the previous round, when the keeper can go nowhere else, you can always ping it crossfield 15, 20 yards to Carval. He'll chest it down and he'll find someone. That's an impossible, like, not an impossible, that's like a priceless asset to have. Especially, like you said, with Pep, Klopp, these high pressing teams, possession-based teams that, like, it's a whole new way of playing in terms of compared to the last 20, 30 years. The idea of not having 2 strikers up top, having this 4-3-3 was alien. Pep brought it to England, obviously with the help of a healthy checkbook, has, dominated the league.
yeah,
Those are 150 reasons why that might not be correct, which we'll hopefully get to the bottom of this summer. But in fact, like the Klopp way now, I've always find that football is cyclical. Every 4 to 7 years, it changes. It's the same 5-7 formations, but it changes. So depending what's popular. in Brazil now, speaking of Ancelotti in Brazil, there's this new style of play called relationism, where instead of using out the space, they're almost in a straight line. It's Jogo Benito, early 2000s, flicks and tricks, and the players develop those relations with each other and trust each other in tight spaces. You see that in Real Madrid today, in their game today against Bayern. You had Rodrigo and Vinicius at one point on the left, just targeting De Legit and Kimmich. So instead of being across and giving the chance, they were just right next to it. As soon as the ball came, 1-2 flicks, and with that deadly pace.
Yeah.
That's so there's talks of this relationism style coming in. Fluminense played Man City in the Club World Cup, got battered, but it was two opposing styles. So I was very intrigued by that. Thiago Motta at Bologna in Italy is playing a similar kind of style, but with more three at the back, kind of a fluid system.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see now as maybe Pep leaves after a year or two after the summer with those 115 charges looming. Let's see what happens with that. But with Klopp going, it's going to be a huge miss. And now with Pep going, we might see a transition, change in the style as well.
Well, I mean, like, that is kind of the two sides of Pep, in my opinion. Is that, like, on the one side, like, I think there's a very good critique. And by the way, my opinion on Pep changes every single day. And so, like, the critique of Pep is like, look, the guy can't do it unless, like, he can't build anything. Right, like Barcelona was literally handed to him on a silver platter. They won the Champions League the year before he got there, or 2 years before in 2006, right? And so, like, that wasn't his team. We didn't really win anything at Bayern. I mean, you won the league, but like that doesn't mean anything when you're Bayern. And then at Man City, you know, we had these 115 charges, right? But then the other side of that, I think, is that, like, okay, but there are also a lot of other teams that spend a shit ton of money and don't accomplish anything. Like, Man U overspent Man City over that period. And, you know, I don't want to, like, rub salt in the wounds, but you guys have accomplished a lot.
It's what happens when you have accountants making football decisions. That's the problem at Man United. That's what we've had for 10 years now. With Ineos and these guys, let's see. I don't think it's a quick fix. I think it takes 3 to 5 years to really, when I look at these games like these semifinals, like today, man, it's going to take us a while to get back to this level. Like, this is a completely different style of football. The speed, the talent that's out there. I am Ten Hag in, at least for a year, because I know he's made some choice decisions with, like, this, you know, Anthony, obviously. People love shitting on Anthony, but I'll say, you know, he scored in his first 4 games. He looked like a fucking world hitter when he first came. He scored debut against Arsenal. He slotted away the first goal in 3-1. I think what we like was a proper football structure, which we've now got in place. We've got people like Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox, these kind of people coming in, the right kind of football people. The commercial guys, the accountants, made us a ton of money. Great commercial deals, but as you can tell, you know, overpaid. The contract renewals for players like Phil Jones, Fosu Mensah, even these youngsters, they were just giving crazy renewals to these players. And now we can't ship them off because the wages are too high.
Yeah.
So I personally think Ten Hag, under this structure, don't let a manager have full final say on sayings, because even he's made some great signings. Sandro Martinez. I do like Højlund. He's promoted great players like Mainu and Garnacho. So he's fitting the United profile. But I think giving him, if you look at Klopp, even Guardiola, they don't do it on their own. Guardiola has Tixi Beguestrain, I'm probably going to butcher his name. The guys from Barcelona, the 2 chief execs there that followed before he went there. Klopp had Michael Edwards and that whole fantastic data-driven football structure at Liverpool. Yeah. Arsenal have Edu now with Arteta. So you can tell it's a team. United for the previous 30 years were run by one man, the great Sir Alex Ferguson. His brother was his main scout. His other family members, like his son, helped him out here and there. He played for the club as well. So it was a family-run thing where one man controlled the whole spine of the club, similar to what Jose was doing at Chelsea when he first came. Jose went a bit haywire after Real Madrid because Real Madrid's run completely differently and he couldn't handle Jorge Valdano and the other executives. So I'm Ten Hag in. Sorry, long-winded answer. I am Ten Hag in for a year. If we finish 8th again next year and the summer signings aren't living up, then yeah, maybe we need a new manager. But my biggest fear right now is we get Gareth Southgate. I will have to stop supporting this club. I already don't buy the merch because I don't want to support the Glazers. I haven't bought a shirt in 2-3 years, which is, I love last season's kit. It broke my heart not to buy it with the colours. So
yeah,
great kit. We actually won something, even though it was a Mickey Mouse Cup. But we have an FA Cup to look forward to. Let's see how that pans out. Obviously, City look scary. We look terrified. One-off cup game, FA Cup was Liverpool Magic. Let's see.
The best case scenario for Anthony, I think, is Darwin Nunez. Because, like, as a Liverpool fan, like, I was like, I can show you the receipts from my group chats. Like, ship him off. Like, I've done all the jokes, like I hated him, and then like around 2-3 months ago, the dude just started turning it around. And I mean, even when he does big misses now, Liverpool fans don't get as angry. We're like, okay, he
Oh
gave us
yeah,
some good passes, he got a goal, you get a miss. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
he
like,
plays well with the team. Yeah, he plays well with the team. I mean, Bobby Firmino wasn't a great goal scorer, but the things he did for the team, the high press, always giving the ball to his teammates, he's priceless. Him, Carlos Tevez, these type of strikers where, and this is Tevez at United, not at City, because I refuse to watch him at City. At United, I loved him. Honestly, I was gutted when he went. Carlos Tevez at United, even though Rooney, Ronaldo were the superstars, it was like Rooney, Ronaldo, Tevez triumvirate, similar to Mane, Salah, Bobby Firmino. Firmino and Tevez were those two guys, those absolute dogs that just gave 100%, closed people down, made the game easier for their colleagues, essentially, made them look better. That's a rare skill.
I do have to say though, like one difference between Nunez, and this is one of the reasons why I've been always more critical of Nunez than other people, is that like Firmino played the false nine, while like Nunez is like a 9-9, and like when you're 9-9, it's like, like you can't really point to like I do other stuff on the pitch. It's like, well, when you're 9-9, you have one
Oh,
goal,
yeah.
you have one job, which is to put the ball in the goal. But again, he's been doing it better, and he's been doing assists. He's been helping
Some of
out.
his finishing, he's that guy. He'll put away the hard chance and then miss a sitter. He's just there's those guys, there's these characters, these strikers, especially in football, where it's like they'll score this ridiculous flick on or like a 25-yard absolute curler, and then they'll miss a 2-yard sitter. It's
Yeah.
football just has those characters. The
Oh,
one thing with him as a United fan, I have to say, even as a United fan, he hasn't been playing the sport long. He only started playing football a couple of years before he moved to Benfica, so he's very
who?
raw. And Darwin
Anthony?
Nunes, he only
Oh,
started,
Darn
he only
Nunez.
started
Yeah.
yeah, Nunes only started playing football maybe 2-3 years prior to joining then Benfica and then now at Liverpool. So he's actually, even though he's 24 or whatever he is, his football career's only really been maybe less than a decade. So there's a lot of raw potential there to work. Hopefully he flops as a United fan. I don't want to see him do well at you guys, but
Yeah, I also like I don't like I'm kind of bearish in general on people coming from Portugal into the Premier League, just because like it is a very different level of stress and attention that's coming on you. And like again, this is the reason why like I wouldn't call myself an Mbappe hater, but like an Mbappe skeptic, is that like I think the mental part of the game is so important. And when you're coming from Lisbon, where like 12 people are at the games, I'm just joking. Like obviously, like in Portugal, the people care, right? But like you don't have as much attention on you to being like the Liverpool striker. It's a whole different ball
of
game.
course.
Like for him, it just took a longer time to adjust to it, but it seems like he's getting it now.
I think with Mbappe, one of two things happen. I think he goes in there and sees the difference in the training regiments, the infrastructure. I mean, Valdebebas, Real Madrid's training center, has been world class for over a decade. In fact,
Yeah.
Liverpool went in the mid 2000s. Liverpool went there and did like a recon to see how they did things.
Yeah.
Melwood's been completely transformed into a world class now. United's the only one left with rotting machines and the same old sauna from 2003. If you ask Cristiano Ronaldo, so um, I think Mbappe goes to Real Madrid and sees that step up with like I said, the Parisian mentality, that
Yeah.
City, that PSG mentality is not there. It's more celebrity because of celebrity and the new money, not a football dynasty or heritage. And you'll go to Real Madrid. I mean, if you just, I haven't been there. It's one of my bucket lists. If you just see the videos of Real Madrid's trophy room, my goodness, like
Oh,
how can you
I was
not?
there.
Oh, so you already know then. You already. I mean, you see those Champions Leagues lined up and all the trophies. Like, how do you not give 110%? Like, you look at Bellingham. Bellingham was the main guy, and he's still kind of the main guy at Madrid, but he's the main guy in a collective. I
Yeah.
think that's what Mbappe brings. He'll see that much. He's got that maturity. He does it for France. I think he'll do it for Real Madrid. I think it'll be very scary next year. The only question mark is where will they play him? I think it's looking like they'll play him in the middle. We'll see how he does. He'll still score loads of goals, but will he have that same potency as he does on the left? I think so. Or two, like you said, he kind of becomes a bit more egotistic, kind of goes to his head a bit more. And then 2 years later, Madrid have to sell him on for whatever, and he goes to another, probably the Premier League. I think that's the next logical move. But
That that is a big question with Mbappe. It is the type of thing where like, if you meet somebody who's always complaining about other people, and then like you start to interact with them, it's just like, okay, is it actually other people or is it you? And
exactly.
we're gonna find out like who it is. Is it other people or is it him? By the way, we
And
have 10 minutes left because I'm
oh,
a free version
yeah,
of Zoom.
don't
Um,
worry. It's the perfect layup though for him. I mean, obviously PSG, they've still won the league. All right, his last season didn't end up with any European glory, but many players have tried to win PSG the Champions League. Zlatan, Cavani, Neymar, Messi.
Yeah.
There's no shame in him. I mean, they've had great players throughout. Ginola back in the previous years. So there's no shame in him. It would have been ideal, obviously, to send him off like that, but he's in great company even if he hasn't done it. The perfect alley-oop from will be Euros. Have a good Euros with France. Hopefully not better than England. Let's hope England can bring it home for once.
Yeah.
On the Southgate, let's see.
Speaking
And then
of the Harry Kane.
yeah, there you go. Yeah. So and then perfect alley-oop. Have a good Euros with France. Have a good performance. Enjoy the summer, and then look forward to this new adventure. Have great players around him. United on in the Champions League next year, so I can actually enjoy watching Madrid hopefully decimate the rest of the competition and not worry about us wherever we are.
Yeah, Madrid is my least favorite club. Like they're the people who I root for, which sucks because like A, they are the best club, and B, like all the individual, like I like all the individual people at Madrid. I like every single Madrid player. I love Carlo Ancelotti, like everybody. But it's just they always beat us in the Champions League. So how can I like them?
I love them. Same. I hate Barcelona. Liverpool fans love Barca. Obviously, great club, great culture. But we'd have 5 Champions League if it wasn't for Messi and Co and Pep all those years ago. So it's like the reverse. I love to see Liverpool Champions League final. Yeah, please, just just beat him. I don't care how you do it. Just don't let Liverpool. I mean, they're on 6. We're still halfway to you guys, but just don't let them add to it, please.
So I guess like the big last question. By the way, this was fun. We should do this again.
Yeah,
Was the big question is like, do you think the Premier League race is done? Do you think it's over?
I don't know why. I have this really silly suspicion that Fulham plays City 12:30 on Saturday. I'm not saying City loses or anything crazy. I just game. Everyone's kind of just writing it off. Fulham have been in good form. Marco Silva's a solid manager. He's got his legs under the table, his feet under the table now. He's doing well. They're solid. I see Fulham causing a few problems to City, and then because City play first, them 12:30 kickoffs are kind of tricky. Liverpool always have slow starts in 12:30. It's probably 95% done, but it depends on United Arsenal as well. That's a huge game now. I think if City even draw at Fulham, or let's say they lose 1 or 2-0, it could happen. Let's be honest, it's the Premier League. That Sunday game, that atmosphere at Old Trafford, that's going to be a game back to the early 2000s. I think Arsenal.
I think Liverpool are mathematically out of it. I mean, we're not mathematically out of it, but like everyone else has to lose and we have to win.
Yeah,
so, like,
everyone has to lose all the games. Yeah, and I mean, Arsenal have Everton at home, and if you look at Everton's track record, and especially in the league against Arsenal at home at the Emirates or at the Highbury back in the day, Everton gets spanked 9 times out 9 times out of 10. So Arsenal aren't losing both games. City definitely not losing both games or 3 games.
But I think
City,
I'm honestly rooting for Arsenal because like I don't want City to win 4 in a row. I've been rooting for Arsenal for like a month now, and like other Liverpool fans are telling me like, "Why are you doing this?" I'm like, "Guys, we're out." Like once we lost to Everton, I'm like, "Guys, it's not happening." Like
it was the manner of the defeat as well. It was a bit toothless in the way they lost to Everton. So that was more the result, and also the performance just made you feel like, yeah, it's just not their year. It's just gonna fall short. But I think City Fulham will be a very cagey game. I mean, I could be completely wrong. They might batter them 5-0, but I just have this funny feeling Craven Cottage at 12:30. City's still kind of reeling. They'll probably be watching this game tonight thinking, oh man, if we'd beaten Madrid, we would have been in the final potentially, because I reckon they would have spanked Bayern. So there's that little bit of a hangover when you get knocked out early as well. So I think it will be City, Fulham, cagey, maybe a 2-1, maybe a 2-2. And if Fulham somehow nick something, Arsenal have to win at Old Trafford. And this is United fans saying that. And if they beat us at Old Trafford, I think then it's game on Arsenal. Let's see.
I mean, I think that like there are always like a couple teams every year that are just like really cagey, like you said. Like Fulham, like Crystal Palace is always like a weird team.
Brighton,
they'll just win.
Yep.
West Ham is the reason why we lost 2 years ago. Like they just have this incredible counter. And like, if you have an incredible counter, you're in every single game. You know what I mean? Like, you could win any game if you park the bus and counter. You're not going to win every game, but you can win every game.
Boys is that guy. He wants to park the bus, have a big attacking midfielder, Fellaini or what's his name, Souček or someone, hold the ball up from the high press when you like pressing, I get it over the top, and then someone like Mikel Antonio or Jared Bowen, who's had a great year as well.
I hate Antonio, man. I hate him. I hate him so much.
He scores against Liverpool. He's had a few goals against Liverpool, so yeah, I'm a fan.
Yes, it's not just the amount of goals. It is how big the goals are. Like if he has five
That's
goals
home.
against us when we're winning 7-0, I don't care. But when he has a 1-0 goal, where do you think Marino's going?
So hot take here again, and if they listen to me, we'll win it. Sack Gareth Southgate now. Thank you for his service. Same thing as Solskjaer. You steadied the boat for England. Solskjaer did it for United, but you're not that guy who takes the next step. Bring in Mourinho for the Euros. One contract just for the tournament. One tournament contract. Bring him for the Euros. Win the Euros.
Is
Mourinho,
Marino?
exclamation.
I feel like the England squad's the exact opposite squad they won from Mourinho, though, right?
Oh no,
Like,
it's perfect. Big physical players: Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, and Mourinho. Everyone says he's super defensive, and he is. The back five, so the back four, the keeper, maybe Declan Rice screening, very strict. The front five, when he was at Real Madrid in 2012, they broke all the goal scoring records in La Liga that year, and up until that year. So Mourinho lets the players attack. He just wants solid defensive.
yeah,
So when you have Declan Rice, you have, I think people like Ezri Konsa at Villa. There's some great young defenders coming in. The goalkeeping situation is a little bit touch and go. I don't trust Pickford. I'm more of a Nick Pope fan, but he's obviously come back from long-term injury. Bring in Jose, solid back five. Declan Rice screening it. Have Bellingham, Foden, Grealish, Kane, Saka. We concede 3. Let's score 6. Let's just outdo the teams. We have that potential. Gareth Southgate's going to go there to try and lose the game. It's going to be cagey, tetchy, 1-0 up. We're going to go super defensive for no reason. Great guy, steady the boat, love him, but not the guy to take us there. Proved it against Italy in Euro.
Stupid game, man. That was such a stupid game.
1-0 up.
Yeah.
All due respect to Italy, all past their mid-30s, barely hanging on legs. We scored in the first minute at Wembley inside 60 seconds, Luke Shaw. Let's go win it 5-0. Why are we? We're just over the next 15, 20 minutes, you see us start receding back. Second half, we're on the ropes. You think we're 1-0 down playing with
And
35
that
year olds.
always bites you in the ass. That always bites you in the ass.
You're inviting the pressure. You're inviting pressure. The fans are on your side. Your fans don't know how to react. Like it's never hold out for it. Just go for it.
I'm just saying, like, I wanted Mourinho in Liverpool because I think Liverpool.
A few of my friends did. A few of my friends did. Yeah, a few of my Liverpool friends did as well.
We are a counterattacking team masquerading as a press team. Like we have Mo Salah, we have Darwin Nunez who is as fast as shit. We have Luis Diaz. It's like we should just have we should play a 5-4-1, but like 4 defensive mids. You know what I mean? And Mourinho would absolutely love doing that. So I'm sad that
he's a troll as well. He went to Liverpool. Oh, those games at Old Trafford, he'd be such a troll about it as well. He'd be the worst. He would really do us.
Also with Pep, because nobody, I don't think 2 people in football hate each other as much as Pep and Jose.
I think it's hate, but I think there's a lot of admiration as well. Like Wenger, Ferguson. I mean, Wenger and Mourinho. Jesus Christ, they were shoving each other. Mourinho
that's true. Yeah.
Failure. I think given enough time, there's that mutual respect and adoration. Mourinho's beef is more with Barcelona as a football club, with the way they treated him, and they used to call him the translator under Sir Bobby Robson. Give him that respect. So his beef is more with the club, not necessarily Pep. Him and Pep, I think, will get on just fine given another couple years.
Because Pep stole that Barca job from him.
Yeah, well, exactly. And Pep's kind of elevated himself to different level. Poor Jose is kind of teetering a little bit. I still think he has a lot to offer, but I think the game's kind of tactically, the game's moved him on.
Yeah, I mean, plus like he's a guy who stays somewhere for like 2 or 3 years, and the problem with that is that when you get older, like you start looking at that resume, you're like, you've jumped around a lot, bro. Like you keep on getting chased out of town. But yeah, no, we're out of time. I need to upgrade the Zoom for longer conversations. But
catching up. Let's do this anytime. Happy to jump in anytime. We'll do it off the Champions League final for sure. But yeah, City games, any Premier League games, happy to.
Do you want to do Monday?
Sure, let's go.
All right, dude.
All right. Take care, bro, Paul. Good seeing you, man.
See you, dude.
Enjoy your night. Take care.
Thanks, bro.